just human. It's not American, it's not Japanese, it's not about the war, it is about the family.
My brother was in the Navy, and he was stationed off Nagasaki. He came back from the war, and he had this flag, and he had some other mementos. So he said, "Would you like to have them, bud?" And so I took them. I've had it all that time.
These veterans, now these older men, are looking back to that period in World War II when they served, and one of the things that they still have besides memories is they still have souvenirs that they brought back. It was a tradition in the war that the soldiers on the battlefields after the fighting would look for things to bring home, and one of the most popular items that they found happened to be these Japanese flags. Well, there's another story to that, because these were not just simply Japanese flags. These were something very special. These young Japanese men, just like the Americans going to war before they left home, the family had this tradition where they would buy a little Japanese flag and then they would personalize it.
And then they carry the flag, all this family and friends and neighbors, they wishing him and remind of them back home who you're fighting for.
They are, in effect, accompanying him to war. Today, officially in Japan, there are 1,140,000 Japanese soldiers who disappeared without a trace. These represent probably the only surviving remains of this person, because they just disappeared. Now what is happening is many of these veterans, or the children and family of the veterans, discover these or remember they have them, and before they die they are thinking about just the family in Japan where that soldier didn't come home. The feelings of hostility and anger have gone, and their feelings are, this should go back to Japan and provide comfort and closure for some brother, sister, wife, sons and daughters of this missing soldier.
It is not just item, it is a spirit of father, spirit of the brother, who all the way, many years, they finally come home.
It's a very real, living item. We've received it, it's safe in our hands. Pair.
So we always pray before we open the flag we received. Thank you for coming all the way up to here, and hoping to find a way back to Japan where they belong to.
You never know what's inside on each one. He says, "My father-in-law served in the U.S. Army 160th Infantry Division in the Philippines from October 1942 until November 1945. We do not know the circumstances under which he acquired the flag and enclosed pictures, nor do we know if they are related to each other." Oh, so here is this Japanese person, probably with a picture of his mother or something here. Here he is with his hands in his pockets. So he was probably carrying these photographs with him. Could be an entirely different person. Are there any women's names, dear? I always ask to look for women's names, because if there's women's names, then that came from real family. Women's names always indicate it came from home.
This is quite amazing to keep this condition after over 70 years. So you can imagine the soldiers who took this, even carry with him, you know how precious that item. Nice, this will protect it.
Wow. Now this is very special. This flag was sent to the United States by my uncle, William Ralph Cook. My uncle went missing in action around July 28, 1945, and his body was never recovered. And this is a memento that he sent home, and the family has held that all those years. But even though this is like the only remaining trace of him, they want this to go back to the family in Japan. May we remember the sacrifices of those who came before us, so that we may ensure that those who come after us can live in peace. Wow, isn't that something, dear?
So many people, they really feel so warm, and then they sincerely wanted to return, and then they just write. You know, that's come from their heart.
The war each year just moves further back in history, further back, further back. Now, when soldiers who brought home battlefield souvenirs feel that this should go back to the families to provide closure for that person who didn't make it home from the battlefield, that is, in my opinion, the final chapter of the war, because when that connection is made, there's nothing more to be done.
The war's over, been over for a long time. I'm sure that there are people my age who would hold me in disdain for doing what I've done, but I look at things a little differently. I think I would say to them that this was in honor of my brother who brought this back, and we know that you would appreciate receiving it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.